Quick public service announcement before we get into the meat of today's video. For some reason, I suspect, maybe, user error, the events of yesterday's video never actually took place. I guess when I was leaving the game and it asked me if I wanted to save, I clicked no. I think I saved it. But when I've come back onto it this morning, we're still in a world before Ipswich and Aston Villa. I replayed the games. We now lost to Villa, drew with Ipswich. I think, did we lose both games before? So we are officially 1 point further ahead than we were before. I don't know how it happened. Hopefully it won't happen again. That's why it's slightly different. Hello and welcome to Club 4, Part 9 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kev, and coming up on today's episode, we're away against QPR and at home against Wigan in the Championship. That's right. A, we're still in the Championship. B, we are still at Portsmouth. In this new universe, I had more strength and didn't even apply for the Newcastle job. We still didn't get the West Ham one, though. These are the results since you were last with me. I mean, although we benefited from the whole save not saving properly, we didn't benefit much. We went on a horrible run of horrible results. It's been a weirdly inconsistent time. Lots of red, then a mysterious 5-0 win against a mid-table Preston side. We then lost again without putting up any kind of fight, but then another confident, significant win against Sheffield United. It seems we either just limp along, not able to do anything and are rubbish, or we thump teams. I'm fine with that. We were only supposed to be battling against relegation this season, and 30 games gone. We're sat on 37 points. We're comfortably inside the Kev ratio. There's no fear of us being relegated, and I'm quite happy with how things are going. Did I make any signings in the transfer window? We did. I knew there was a player who came in. Sid Nelson is the main one. He came in from MK Dons. We just needed another defender. 27 years old, this fella. 3-star current ability. He's not going to pull up any trees, but he is a decent option for us. He's been playing regularly for McDonald's down in League One for a little while now. He comes in. He's roughly of equivalent quality to Matt Clark. It was just another option for us at the back. He was cheap. That's the important thing. We were able to get him cheap, and we did need another defender. We also signed a few youngsters just to try and build for the future a little bit. I know I talked a lot yesterday about moving on to the Premier League. We might spend another 2 or 3 years here, so let's build for the future a bit. So Trevor Connolly. My scouts need to improve is the general gist of this next bit. Trevor Connolly's 20 years old is how people often say that. One of a couple of signings who's come over from the Irish leagues out of contract at the end of their season. He's not very good. We also signed Tommy Hamilton, who's Northern Irish. He's also 20. He's a little better, still not very good. And then we also signed Philip Brennan. We've just raided the Irish leagues. Another attacking midfielder, 2.5-star current ability. This one actually has 5-star potential, so I'm actually a little bit more excited about Philip Brennan. I can't show you his past, but another one who's from the Irish leagues. And then lastly, Sim Thandi. Don't know how you'd say his name. He's a little bit older than I would have liked for a player of potential, but he has got decent potential. He's a right back, and he comes in from Barnsley, he was at before. Been on loan in the National League for the last couple of seasons. Basically signed him as a replacement for Josh Dacres Cogley, who went to Bolton because they offered us money for him. So we just wanted to bring in another third choice right back just to fill out the squad a little bit, and that's exactly what we did. So all of that leads to this being our starting 11 for the game against QPR. Very familiar looking, just with the new centre back in it. So Fielding in goal, a back four of Purrington, Lindsay, Nelson and Thompson. A midfield of Boateng, Oakley, Booth and O'Keefe, with Schmodix in behind Ugbo and Scott. Ugbo is still having quite a good season. He's a bit of a star. He's not scoring goals for fun, but he has scored a couple of absolute screamers. Comfortably, I would say, the best player in the squad. Probably the only one who challenges him is Schmodix, who has turned into being quite a good signing after being just brought in as a replacement for if George Grant left. And now he's my first choice attacking midfielder. George Grant rarely gets a look in. So the plan now is, unless a spectacularly tempting Premier League job becomes available, we're just trying to get through to the end of the season without getting dragged into a relegation fight. We basically, I think, probably need another 4 or 5 wins in our last, 15, 16 games. So we were talking about this on the stream last night, and obviously because we talked about it on the stream, it's as something that never happens, it's now going to become something that does happen. I talked about how with my saves, I never really have just a mid-table season. We're either battling against relegation or fighting for promotion. We never seem to be just in the middle somewhere, too good to go down, not good enough to go up. But I think that's exactly what this Portsmouth team is. I don't think there's much fear of us being dragged into a relegation battle at this stage. Cue a 10-game loss streak. But also, we're clearly not close to good enough to even tease a run at the playoffs. So we're just going to sort of hover around in mid-table, massively overperform against our targets, and then hopefully in the summer we'll have a little look around at the jobs that are available. There'll be teams relegated from the Premier League who'll probably want somebody. There might be teams who just underperformed in the Premier League who might be after somebody. There might be teams in some of the equivalent leagues in other countries that might want somebody. But we're really looking for our next club. Our next club's going to be the first big one, I think. Not as in size of the club necessarily, or we do want them to be a little bit bigger. But I want the next club we end up at to be one where we stay 3, 4, 5 seasons and win something. Not necessarily the team that we go and win the Premier League with and get into the Champions League with, but it'd be nice. Think Ipswich 2 years ago, and in fact Ipswich last year as well. Ipswich seemed to be our transition club for this kind of thing. Let's hope it's not Ipswich again. Ipswich for the 3rd year in a row. Oh, he's reached the Ipswich point of the save this year, has he? Oh, Scott's just hit the frame of the goal. But we want a club where we can, maybe flirt with the Europa League, perhaps win a League Cup or an FA Cup, and spend a few years, develop a few players, really build that managerial reputation and get ourselves ready for the next step towards a big club where we can go and win the Champions League and then proclaim ourselves victorious. It's very weird to be talking about this 5 seasons in. I am fully prepared for the wheels to fall off. Schmodix equalises for us. I'm getting ready for the wheels to fall off and for us to have a terrible season, get relegated and have to go back down to League 2 and rebuild like we did last year. But I'm going to try not to take any jobs at teams that are already pretty much relegated this time round, because a couple of people yesterday said, Kev, why don't you go for that Leicester job in the Premier League? Because it's an impossible task, is why I'm not going to go for the Leicester job. They're pretty much already relegated from the Premier League, and unlike in real life where it would be worth having a go, even if you get relegated you'll get a chance to bring them back up again. As we found with Tor last year, they were a team that were already relegated pretty much. I couldn't save them. I got sacked, and then having a relegation and a sacking on my CV meant the next club that we could get, after being at a top flight club in France, the only club that would then give us a job afterwards after 6 months of applying for jobs, was in League 2. So I don't want 6 months at Leicester and then having to go and manage someone down in League 2. That doesn't appeal to me this year. So we're going to try and be a little bit smarter with our job applications. We're safe in this job at Portsmouth for a while. We're not getting fired this season, whatever happens from here. Schmodix is an absolute hero. What a goal! And I think next season they'll probably just be looking for, mid-table maybe, which we've already shown we can achieve. Or they might even say just avoid relegation again. I don't think they're going to say, right, we need promotion now, Kev, you've survived once, go win the league. Because then that's kind of pushing me out. But I think we could probably do a couple of years here and bide our time and wait for the right job. Meanwhile, just develop players like Sammy Schmodix, who, for some reason, age 27, never got an opportunity in the Championship. And he's brilliant. And I don't know why he never got an opportunity at this level. Someone should be giving him up. Perhaps that's what would be at Portsmouth. We can't really afford to buy the 5-star potential youngsters. We can't really afford to buy the top players who are going to just walk straight into a Championship team. Maybe what we need to do is, like what we've done with Schmodix, like what we've now done with Sid Nelson, is find the players who are a little bit older, a little bit undervalued maybe, never really been given opportunity at a higher level, and see if we can build a team around them. Because we've got to do something on a budget. I don't like working on a budget, but I am trying to be more sensible with the money this year, so that I lose my reputation as Kev who bankrupts everybody. I am a financial advisor. We'll try not to bankrupt all these clubs. Right, tactical tweaks. I'm still wary of them, because with Oxford they worked really, really well. with Portsmouth, they've led to issues, but then we've not been doing it lately and we've been losing a lot of games. So I don't know whether we're supposed to be tweaking things right now. QPR are down in the relegation zone, so you'd think they should be a team we can just continue to attack. But there's always that fear that they've got a goal in them and they'll just get back into the game. And we keep missing chances like that. Right. I'm thinking substitution time. What shall we do? In the last couple of games, there's a young winger who we've got at the club who probably, after all this build-up, he probably isn't even on the bench today. But once or twice, we've done a 4-2-3-1 towards the end of a game, just because we've got a right winger with 5-star potential who came for our youth team, who I want to give some game time to. Scott is in, and there's number 3, and he's giving it the dancing clap to celebrate. Good work. Scott, I can't remember what his first name is. Good job he's only here on loan. Again, we talked on the stream last night about how I don't remember people's names. There's a good example of it. I don't remember his first. I want to call him Barry Scott, but I know that's the man who sells Sillet Bang, so it's probably not his first name. But I don't know. What's your name, Scott? What does it begin with? B. Scott. Tell me this man's not called Barry Scott, and I've just never Bradley Scott. Okay, I'd like to think that even I would have noticed if he was called Barry Scott. There you go. The midfielder's still there. Alex Ford. We're going to bring him on and have a look at him, because if we've got a good youngster who's a winger, we need to start thinking now in terms of, right, we need to start playing with wingers so that we can use our good youngster. So get him out there. Robbie Dunn can play left wing. Bartlett can play left wing. Ugbo can play left wing. In fact, we'll probably just move Ugbo out there, because Ugbo as an inside forward, that seems acceptable to me. Have Scott up front on his own. Schmolix can stay in there. And then Boateng. In fact, you're probably going to come off because you've taken a knock. So Tunnicliffe can come on for you, and then we can make you a ball-winning midfielder with Oakley Booth as a deep line playmaker. That all works for me at the moment, and let's just drop down to standard. We don't need to push too hard. And take off, exploit the middle. Marvellous stuff! Right, let's see if this young lad's any good then. Ford, that's his name, isn't it? Right, Purrington to Scott, and there's number 4. Before the changes are even made, Barry Scott's got his 10th goal of the season. I mean, he's just going to be Barry forever now. I'm never going to remember what his real name is. It's a nice little... Has Ugbo already moved out onto the left wing? Because he looks like he started that from a left wing position. So if the substitution's been made, is that Alex Ford there? No, they haven't. So Ugbo was just drifting out left in preparation of the fact he was about to be sent out there. Right, now he is out on the left properly. Plays it forward to Scott. We've got men in the middle. Scott crosses and Ford is there and hits the post. Oh, it would have been delightful for our young internal wonder kid. That's a technical term for, well, obviously he's not a wonder kid, but he's quite good for us. Our internal wonder kid almost got a goal on, I think it's either his second or third appearance. I'm not sure if I've used him once or twice before. That was a weird pass. Tunnicliffe made a run, but it was nowhere near where the ball went. Ball over the top, and it's no danger at all. And let's make our final substitution. What are we going to do? Purrington's on a yellow card, but he's the best defender we've got on the pitch at the moment. Should we take off Lindsay and bring on Matt Clark? Because Lindsay's only here on loan, whereas Clark and Nelson could conceivably be a centre-back partnership that we use next season. If we decide they're good enough and we want to use our loans somewhere else, it would be nice to not constantly be relying on loanee centre-backs like we were last season, like we have for a lot of this season. Now we've got 2 players, roughly equivalent quality in Clark and Nelson, roughly the same age, both under contract for another year, I think. So, got to give them a little bit of an opportunity to build a partnership. We are going to need to replace Thompson in the summer because he's like 1,000 years old. Purrington will do for now. And the rest of the team is pretty much ready to be built on. We could make something special here. I might not leave. See what a difference a 4-1 away win makes. I get all excited about the future. And what's also exciting is after 31 games, this means we only need another 10 points to get to the magic 50-point mark. So 3 more wins in 15 games now. And it all starts to look a lot more achievable. I think the next game is against a relegation threatened team as well. So we could be even closer towards survival. That was a poor bit of defending. We're talking about our 2 centre-backs. That was poor. We just let them drift straight through there. Need to do better. Is that Luke McGee, who was on loan at Posh last season. Could well be Luke McGee. We'll have a look now. I thought Ugbo was about to do something splendid. It is Luke McGee. There you go. He's made it up to the Championship. Bless his cotton socks. Right, now we play against bottom of the table Wigan. Hopefully, another win. And then I think if we beat Wigan, not only could it put us into the top half of the table, we're not thinking about any further than that because the gap is huge, but it could put us into the top half of the table, and I will officially declare us safe from relegation if we beat Wigan. No changes for the Wigan game then, because we just scored a lot of goals and won a football match. So we'd be mad to change things. Wigan have moved off the bottom of the league, so I guess they won their last game too. They've still got Will Grigg up front. It's, what year is it? It's like 2022. And Wigan have still got Will Grigg up front. I thought he was an old man in real life now. I need to check this out. I need to check what's happening here. Tactics, Grigg, 31 years old. So he's obviously not that old in real life. And it's 2023, not 2022. And it's fair to say he only really had one season when he was on fire. Looking at that. Never mind, Will. I can't believe he's that young in real life. I thought he was... I had in my head he was like 30 now. But clearly not, because he's only 31. Unless he only ages 1 year for every 4 years. Perhaps he was born on a leap day. So he only has a birthday every 4 years. That would explain a lot. That would explain the misunderstanding about how old he was. It all makes sense now. Will Grigg, born on a leap day. That's a fact that really should be appearing on his Wikipedia page pretty soon, if it's not already there. It would be amazing if he was actually born on the 29th of February. I would be so happy, because I'm fairly sure he's not. We'll double check at half time. We'll have a look on his profile again, even though we all know the laws of Football Manager state that as soon as you click on the profile of an opposition player, they're guaranteed to score against you. I was getting ready for that, as demonstrated here by Will Grigg, who we've already clicked on once. We'll let him get his goal, then we'll click on him again so he gets his next goal. Plus, I want to really push the limits of the system and break that relationship so that if I click on him enough, he's not going to score 18 times today. So if I click on him after every goal he scores, then hopefully we force Football Manager into breaking its own rules about forcing players you click on to score against you. Then it won't be we won't have that curse anymore, and that would be an excellent thing to lose. Barry Scott puts us 1-0 up after 22 minutes, up into the top half of the table as it stands. Nosebleed territory, everybody. It's a nice little ball over the top from Boateng. Ugbo, supposed to be the target man, but he's transitioning more into being a complete forward. He's got a lot of pace. He's got a bit of creativity around him. If we're not already training him to be a complete forward, it's high time we did. If I put a training instruction on now, will it save after the game, or is it like when you make tactical changes? I might remind me to do it after the game. Let me know down in the comments. Kev, put Ugbo on complete forward training, because then if I don't do it straight after the game, at least then I'll read all your comments and then I'll go and do it. There's Grigg's goal. See, we looked at him then. He's got a goal. It's always going to be the way. We'll look at him again now. Got to watch his replay first, though. If he scores a second after we look at him again to check his birthday, I am then completely convinced that this is a conspiracy. It's a tidy little finish. Should we try and sign him? He can't be that expensive, age 31, surely. Right, let's have another look. 29th of February, anybody? Are you going to let me look at him? He was 30th of June. Well, that takes all the fun away, really. Still would cost up to £2 million. That's mad. Right, well, he's got one more goal in him now. So we need to score at least twice to be able to win this game and declare ourselves safe, plus move up into the top half of the table. I mentioned before that the gap above where we are now up into the playoffs is so big that even if we won like 4 games on the bounce, we're never making up a 12-point gap at the top of the Championship to get into the playoffs this season. So that's why we're not really thinking about them, we're not really talking about them. It's not a realistic objective. And if you look at the calibre of teams that are up there, Ipswich is possibly your exception, but they are all teams that are fairly recent Premier League teams. presumably have got lots of money, big stadiums. And I know you could argue Portsmouth fall into that category as well, but none of the other teams on that list fell all the way down to League Two the way we did. So that's why we're not quite up in big team territory yet. But we have just moved back up to 12th place thanks to the goal from Oakley, whatever his name is, Oakley Booth. There you go. I will learn his name eventually. He's only on loan as well, though. So there's not a huge reason to have to learn his name because he's going back in 15 games' time. Nelson nearly got his first goal in the Championship, first goal at this level, which would be... In fact, talking about previous teams in the Premier League, this whole Championship is absolutely full of them. What on earth must the Premier League look like? I thought Ugbo had scored there. I was wheeling away in celebration. I think because we're coming up to the end of the 5th season, I think we'll do a little bit of a review of where the rest of world football is between seasons 5 and 6, just to give you a little bit of insight into what else is going on. And I'm expecting some surprises when we have a look at what's going on in the Premier League, because there's so many teams that you'd expect to be up in the Premier League knocking about with us down in the Championship. Let's bring on Robbie Dunn. Give him another chance to make himself a hero again. He has scored at least once more since the famous goal moment. I don't know if it was more than once. I remember him scoring a cracking header this morning before I sat down to record this, before lunch. For those of you interested in what time I'm recording, it's 7 minutes past 1 at the moment. So I played the game, went and got some lunch. The curse! Right, hold on. We're going to click on him a third time. There you go. Go on, I dare you to get a hat-trick, Will. It's not going to happen. I mean... anyone who tells me this isn't a real thing in Football Manager is living in a fantasy world. If you click on an opposition player, they will score a goal against you. It's like poking the match engine to say, hey, look, they're interested in this one. You know what will make their day? Bring him back up again later. Then they'll know they were looking at the right one. Here you go. This is going to be his hat trick. And then I'm going to be so cross. So cross if he scores here. Hey, we broke the curse. We did only draw a game against a team that were bottom of the league, though. But we broke the curse, and that's the most important thing. And we find ourselves, after 32 games, on 41 points, so 3 more wins needed. We're 10 points clear of Wigan, who are down in 22nd place. We're not officially safe yet. 3 more wins. We'll be safe by the next episode, hopefully. If you have enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.